there was a cybersecurity attack against Ukraine recently, like recently being in the last 96 hours. And there was a range of data. One of the points of data was the number of killed in action over the last 3 years. The records of the deceased were actually part of the attack. And we're looking at 1.7 million people that have been killed in this war just in the last 3 years alone. So during the Biden administration, so when President Trump says we got to stop the killing, I mean, the numbers of deceased that were reported on, and then now from this breach of this cyber attack, and we don't sure who exactly did it yet, whether it's the Russians or whether it's the Chinese or whether it's internal, no clue yet. But the numbers of killed in action, civilians and military, is just staggering. So there has to be some recognition of those numbers for those that are trying to come to grips with how do we achieve a long-lasting peace deal, right? Not a ceasefire that they typically don't end well, but a long-term peace agreement. And I do think that there's going to be some security guarantees that are going to have to be given to Ukraine. I've called for, Jack, an election, an immediate election in both Ukraine, and in that election, a referendum of sorts for not only the president of the country of Ukraine, the government of Ukraine, but also a referendum on what the people in those eastern Donbasses want to do. Give them a choice, right? We want to have people given the freedom to choose, where they stand. You give those people a choice as well. We can do those things. We've set those kind of international elections up. We've monitored them. The United States of America, there's nobody does it better if we have the right people, and we're not trying to sway a country one direction or another. So those are just a couple of things that need to be considered as we go forward in coming up with a peace negotiation and a peace deal. Never mind I think what can be huge benefits will be an economic, and we have the best president in our history to be at the helm right now in the United States, to come up with probably one of the best economic deals between not only Ukraine and Russia, but between Russia and Europe and Russia and the rest of the world. So there's so much at stake there. The other thing that I have asked for, and I've spoken about, is I kind of call it a mini Marshall Plan. Most people don't remember the Marshall Plan post World War II, where we rebuilt all of Europe. So we would have to come up with some type of mini Marshall Plan, if you will. And I know that's on the table, not necessarily in that name, but a reconstruction effort inside of Ukraine. And frankly, you could help out Russia as well, because there's been some things that have been destroyed in there too. But some type of a mini Marshall Plan that is part of this long-term peace agreement that allows people to come together and rebuild and retool what it is that we need to have, not only in Eastern Europe, but certainly, globally, and certainly for all of Europe, to stop this fighting. We have to stop this fighting, to stop this killing. And neither side, Jack, can afford it any longer. The manpower is not there. The economies are not there. And more attrition is not in anybody's benefit, except for probably the CCP.